Hey friend, please subscribe. 1 second for you. Big deal for me. It's hard to explain how a single moment can unravel everything. One small gesture, one fleeting expression, and suddenly, you're looking at your entire life through a lens that doesn't feel like yours anymore. I never considered myself a suspicious person. In fact, if you had asked anyone who knew me, they'd say I was the kind of guy who trusted easily, maybe too easily. My wife, Ella, and I had been married for 6 years. 6 years of shared mornings, quiet evenings, and unspoken promises. We didn't have a perfect relationship. Who does? But we had something solid, something real. Or so I thought. That day was supposed to be a simple one. I was going to take her out for lunch, something we hadn't done in a while. A small surprise to remind her that I saw her, that I cared, and that we weren't just going through the motions. But the moment I saw her smile at him, it all came crashing down. We were at a small cafe, quiet, intimate, just the two of us. Ella had her usual smile on, soft, gentle, the kind that had always made me feel like the luckiest guy in the world. But there was something different that day. She was sitting across from me, but her eyes weren't meeting mine the way they normally did. Instead, they were focused on him. I didn't even know who he was at first. He walked in just a few minutes after us, tall, well-dressed, but not remarkable. Ella didn't say a word when she saw him, but there was something about her posture that shifted. Her back straightened, and for the briefest second, her lips parted in a smile that wasn't for me. I watched as he walked past our table and exchanged a few words with her. It wasn't anything extravagant, just casual conversation. But I could see it in her eyes. Something changed. The smile she gave him was too warm, too familiar. And for the first time, I felt like I wasn't even in the room with them. Her eyes were glued to him as if I wasn't there. I could see it now, the way her face softened, the way her lips curled up in that knowing smile. The kind of smile that's reserved for someone who holds a piece of your heart, whether you want to admit it or not. I felt something tighten in my chest. It wasn't jealousy. Not exactly. It was something worse. It was the sickening realization that maybe, just maybe, she didn't belong to me in the way I thought she did. I tried to ignore it. I convinced myself that I was just being paranoid, that I was overreacting. But the knot in my stomach wouldn't loosen. The conversation continued, but it was like the whole world was fading into a background hum. Ella's laugh, her flirtatious tone, it all blurred together in a dizzying whirl. Then came the moment. The moment that, in hindsight, I should have seen coming. Ella reached into her bag to grab her phone. And that's when I noticed it. Her fingers brushed against something in the bottom of her purse. A glint of metal, silver shining just enough to catch my eye. She quickly pulled her hand back, but not before I saw it. A ring. It wasn't our wedding band. It wasn't anything I had ever seen before. The flash of it, the way she acted as if she didn't want me to notice, hit me like a punch in the gut. She saw me looking at her purse, and for a brief moment, her face froze. Then, as if nothing had happened, she casually picked up her coffee cup, her eyes darting back to the man across the room, who was still watching her with a look that I couldn't quite place. That's when I saw it. The moment where everything I thought I knew shattered. She smiled at him like I didn't exist, her eyes locked with his in a way that was far too intimate, far too deliberate. She was completely unaware of me, of the way my world was crumbling. But then, just as quickly as she had ignored me, she glanced at me again, that forced smile on her face. I could see the subtle shift in her expression, the moment of realization. She knew. She knew I had seen the ring, and she knew what it meant. My heart raced as I watched her look back at the man one last time. He gave her a nod, and without another word, he left the cafe. Ella didn't say anything as he walked out. Not a word, not a gesture to show any kind of remorse. Her eyes followed him for a moment, and then she turned back to me, her expression changing just slightly. I should have told you about the ring, she said, almost too casually. It's nothing, really. But it wasn't nothing. It wasn't a simple mistake, a trinket that had accidentally found its way into her purse. The way she said it, the way she smiled as if nothing had happened, it was all wrong. My mind was racing, trying to piece it together, to find some explanation that would make sense of the mess she had just dropped on my lap. But there was no easy answer. No simple lie to cover the cracks in the truth that were slowly starting to seep through. I didn't press her. Not then. Not in that moment. I didn't want to look desperate, to let her see how much it was tearing me apart. So, I smiled back, nodded, and let her change the subject. We finished our meal, and I drove us back home in silence. But my mind never stopped. It couldn't. The image of her smile, the way she had looked at him, like I wasn't even there, kept playing over and over in my head. And as soon as we stepped inside our home, I knew one thing for certain. This was no accident. This was no misunderstanding. Ella was hiding something, and I was about to find out what. The drive home was unbearable. I tried to focus on the road, tried to keep my eyes on the street, but all I could think about was that ring. The way it had glinted in her purse. The way her hand had brushed against it, as if she were hiding something. But what was she hiding? Who was she hiding it from? When we got back to the house, Ella went straight into the kitchen, as if nothing had happened. She started humming to herself as she unpacked groceries, like she didn't just shatter the trust between us with a single smile. I stood there for a moment, frozen in the entryway, trying to make sense of everything. I had to confront her, but something held me back. I don't know why. Maybe it was the hope that there was a simple explanation. Or maybe I was afraid of what I might find if I pushed too hard. But deep down, I knew that my life had changed in that cafe. I had seen something I couldn't ignore. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice too light, too casual. She didn't even turn around as she spoke. I nodded, though I felt anything but okay. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just tired." She didn't seem convinced, but she didn't press the issue. The whole situation felt off. Every movement she made seemed deliberate. Every word she spoke seemed rehearsed. It was as if she was waiting for me to say something, to ask the questions she already knew I was going to ask. I knew that ring was important. The way she had reacted when I saw it, the way her face froze for a split second, was too telling. But what could I do? I couldn't just demand answers right there in the kitchen. I wasn't that kind of guy, the one who jumped straight into accusations without proof. But as the evening went on, it became harder to ignore the gnawing feeling in my chest. I kept replaying that moment at the cafe, the smile, the ring, the way she acted like I didn't exist. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that something wasn't just off, it was broken. After dinner, we sat on the couch in silence, the TV playing in the background, but neither of us paying attention. I could feel the distance between us growing, like an invisible wall had been built up in the space we used to share. I wanted to reach out, to ask her what was going on, but something inside me was holding me back. Then, I heard her phone buzz on the coffee table. It wasn't a loud sound, but it was enough to break the silence. She glanced at it, her eyes flicking to the screen and then away just as quickly. I could see her trying to act normal, but her fingers trembled ever so slightly as she picked up the phone and slid it into her purse. That wasn't normal. I sat up, my heart racing. "Who was that?" She looked at me, her face unreadable. "Just a work thing." "Really?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Because it's funny how you always seem to get work things when something's on your mind." Her eyes widened for a brief moment, and I saw a flash of guilt, of something darker, before she quickly masked it with a smile. "Don't be silly. It's nothing, just work." I didn't push her. Not then. But I knew there was more. There had to be. Ella was a terrible liar. Her eyes always gave her away. But I wasn't sure if I was ready to confront her yet. Was I ready to hear the truth, no matter how ugly it might be? That night, as I lay in bed, I couldn't stop thinking about the ring. What was it doing in her purse? Who gave it to her? Was it a gift from him? I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing that smile echoing in my head, the one she had given him in the cafe. And the worst part was, I knew I wasn't wrong to feel suspicious. I didn't know what was happening, but I felt it in my bones. Something had shifted, and I couldn't let it go. I reached over to Ella, whose back was turned toward me, and pulled her phone from her purse. I hesitated for a moment, torn between the man I thought I was and the man I was becoming. But then I unlocked the phone. It didn't take long to find what I was looking for. A message. From him. And there it was, in black and white, something that made my blood run cold. "Can't wait to see you again tonight. Don't forget the ring." I stared at the words, my heart pounding in my chest. The ring. It wasn't just a piece of jewelry. It was a promise. A secret. I didn't know what to do next. The message was clear, but the answer wasn't. I couldn't just confront her, not without more proof. But the weight of the truth was pressing down on me, and I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. I had to know what was going on, and I had to find out before it was too late. The message was still glowing on her phone screen when I set it back down, my fingers trembling. "Can't wait to see you again tonight. Don't forget the ring." I felt like I was suffocating. It was a punch to the gut, proof that my suspicions weren't just paranoia. But the question now was, what was I supposed to do with it? I lay in bed for what felt like hours, staring at the ceiling. Ella's breathing was steady beside me, completely unaware of the storm brewing in my mind. Her phone buzzed again, but I didn't dare touch it. What if I was wrong? What if I misinterpreted it? But deep down, I knew. I knew what it meant. There was something between her and this man. Something that wasn't just work, as she had claimed. The next morning, Ella was as usual. Her smile was back, but it didn't reach her eyes. She moved around the kitchen like everything was normal. I kept my distance, pretending to read the newspaper, but inside, I was boiling. I wanted to confront her right there, ask her who this man was, why she was hiding this secret from me. But I couldn't. Not yet. I had to be smart about this. I couldn't just lash out based on a text. I needed more. I needed her to slip up. "Are you doing anything today?" I asked casually, my voice steady. She glanced at me, her fingers pausing mid-swipe on her phone. "No, just some errands," she replied, her tone light. But I could tell she was avoiding my gaze. "Want me to come with you?" I suggested, trying to sound nonchalant, though my heart was racing. I needed to see if there were any other signs, any other pieces to the puzzle that would make everything clear. She hesitated for a moment, then shook her head. "It's fine. I'll go alone." Her smile was tight, almost forced. I nodded, my mind already spinning with ideas. I couldn't let her go off alone, not today. I had to follow her. I waited for her to leave the house, the sound of her car pulling out of the driveway sending a shiver down my spine. I grabbed my keys and followed her at a distance, careful not to be seen. It wasn't long before she turned into a familiar street. My heart skipped a beat when I realized where she was going. The apartment complex, one I knew well. I had no idea why she was heading there, but something told me I wasn't going to like what I found. I parked a block away, watching her walk toward the entrance. She didn't see me, of course, but I saw everything. She stopped at the door, glancing around before ringing the bell. A man opened the door, smiling at her like they shared some kind of private joke. She smiled back, her face softening in a way I hadn't seen in months. The smile I had seen in the cafe, the smile that sent chills down my spine. I couldn't breathe. My mind was racing. She was here, in this man's apartment. What was she doing here? I watched them for a few more minutes, my fingers gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. I didn't know what to do next. Should I confront her? Should I confront him? Or should I just let the truth unfold on its own? But one thing was clear. Ella was keeping secrets from me, and I was about to find out exactly what those secrets were. I sat in the car, gripping the wheel so tightly my fingers ached, my eyes fixed on the door of the apartment building where Ella had just disappeared. What was I supposed to do now? Confront her? Confront him? The man who had been texting her? My mind was racing, but every time I thought about making a move, I froze. This was the woman I had married. We had built a life together. How could she do this to me? I was snapped out of my thoughts when the door of the building swung open again. Ella emerged, but this time she wasn't alone. The man was with her. He was tall, well-groomed, with a confident stride. I had no idea who he was, but the way they spoke to each other, it wasn't casual. It wasn't friendly. It was intimate. They stood on the steps, talking, and I could hear Ella laugh. A real laugh, not the kind she gave me lately, distant and forced, but a laugh that came from somewhere deep inside her. My heart dropped. This was the smile, the connection I had felt slipping away. It wasn't just that she was smiling at him. She was enjoying his company. She was comfortable with him in a way she hadn't been with me for weeks, maybe longer. I couldn't hear their conversation, but the way they looked at each other said everything. There was something unspoken between them, something I wasn't part of, something I couldn't touch. Ella took a step back, and I watched the man lean in, as if he was about to kiss her. My chest tightened, and I felt the overwhelming urge to run up there and tear them apart. But I didn't. I couldn't. I stayed in the car, frozen in place, watching them. Watching her. She didn't even look back. She didn't even glance over her shoulder to see if I was following her. Then, just as I was about to drive away, something unexpected happened. Ella stepped back, her hand brushing against the man's chest, as if she were saying goodbye, but their eyes lingered for a moment longer. It was that pause, brief but pregnant with meaning, that confirmed everything. She didn't want to leave him. She finally turned and walked away, leaving him standing there, watching her leave with a look that was far too knowing, far too pleased. I didn't know what hurt more, the sight of them together, or the realization that I wasn't even in her thoughts anymore. I started the engine and followed her back, staying at a safe distance. My mind was a blur. I had to do something. Confront her? Yes. But what would I even say? How could I confront her without sounding like a jealous fool, without risking everything I thought we had built? When we got home, she acted like everything was normal. She breezed through the front door, smiling, asking how my day was. I didn't know how to look at her, how to talk to her. It was like I was seeing her for the first time. My wife, the woman I thought I knew, was hiding a part of herself that I couldn't reach. She went straight to the kitchen, humming softly as she put away the groceries. I stood there for a moment, unsure of what to do. Part of me wanted to ask her about the man. Part of me wanted to slam the door behind me and never look back. But I couldn't. Not yet. I walked into the living room and sat on the couch. I had to think. I needed to understand what I was up against. What was I dealing with here? Was this just a momentary lapse in judgment, a temporary connection, or was there something deeper going on? She came in, sitting beside me, her face too calm, too collected. "What's on your mind?" she asked, looking at me with those eyes that used to be full of love, but now seemed distant. "I saw him today," I said quietly, my voice barely above a whisper. Ella stiffened. Her eyes widened just enough for me to notice, but she quickly regained her composure. "What do you mean?" she asked, though the tightness in her voice betrayed her. "I followed you," I admitted, the words leaving my mouth before I could stop them. "I saw you with him. At the apartment. You too." I paused, swallowing hard. "You two were more than just friends, weren't you?" For a moment, she didn't speak. The silence between us stretched out, thick and suffocating. I watched her face for any sign of guilt, any flicker of honesty, but there was nothing. Only the mask she had perfected over the years. Finally, she sighed, her shoulders slumping slightly. "It's not what you think," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. "You're making this bigger than it is." I leaned forward, staring at her. "Don't lie to me." "I saw it, Ella. The way you looked at him. The way he looked at you." She shook her head, but there was a hesitation in her movements. "I didn't want you to find out like this," she murmured, her eyes drifting to the floor. I waited. I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to demand the truth. But I knew I had to be patient. I had to hear it from her. And then, finally, she spoke. "It's been going on for a while now, and I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want to hurt you." The words hung in the air like a heavy fog, suffocating me. "It's been going on for a while now." Ella's voice was soft, almost too soft. I could barely hear it, but it pierced through the stillness like a knife. I wanted to scream, to ask her everything at once, but my body wouldn't move. My chest was tight, and my mind couldn't process what she was saying. "I didn't want to hurt you," she repeated, her voice barely audible. I stood up, my hands gripping the edge of the coffee table as if it would anchor me to reality. "You didn't want to hurt me?" My voice was shaking, but I couldn't stop it. "And yet, you've been hiding this from me. For how long? How long have you been lying to me, Ella?" She flinched, and for a split second, I saw a flicker of regret in her eyes. But it was gone just as quickly, replaced by that same calm demeanor she'd been wearing since she came back inside. It was like she had shut down, built a wall I couldn't tear down. "I never wanted this," she said quietly, her voice breaking slightly. "It just happened. At first, it was nothing. Just talking, texting, harmless." She paused, her eyes drifting away. But then it became more, and I didn't know how to stop it. I took a step forward, my fists clenched at my sides. "More? You've been seeing him behind my back. You've been hiding him, lying to me. And you think that's nothing?" "I wasn't trying to hurt you," she whispered again, her eyes now filled with something I hadn't seen in a long time: guilt. "I never meant for this to get so complicated. It happened. And by the time I realized how deep it had gone, I didn't know how to come back. I didn't know what to say. I wanted to yell at her, demand answers, but something inside me froze. This wasn't the woman I knew. This wasn't the woman I had spent years with. This was someone else, someone I didn't understand. "I don't know who you are anymore," I said, my voice low, more to myself than to her. "This isn't just about him, is it? It's about us. About everything. You've been hiding from me for so long." Ella's face crumpled slightly, and for the first time, she looked vulnerable. "I never meant to hurt you," she repeated, But this time, I could hear the desperation in her voice. I don't know how to fix this. How to make it right. I shook my head, feeling the weight of everything crashing down on me. You don't fix this. You don't just walk back from something like this. She stood up slowly, her eyes pleading with me. I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you like this. I never wanted to be with him. But I don't know what to do anymore. I'm lost. Her words stung, but they also felt like a punch to my gut. How could I even process this? How could I look at her the same way after everything? I need some time, I said finally, my voice rough. I need to think about this. I can't just pretend like everything's okay. Ella nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. She reached out, but I stepped back, my mind spinning. She let her hand fall, and I could see the heartbreak on her face. I didn't know what I wanted, what I needed. I didn't know if I even wanted to fix this. As I turned and walked away, I couldn't help but feel like I was walking away from my whole life. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, all I could see was Ella's face, the vulnerability in her eyes, the way she seemed so lost in her own words. But then, there was the other part of me that wanted to walk away, to just forget about everything and let her deal with the mess she'd created. I had never been so conflicted in my life. The next morning, I woke up with a dull ache in my chest, a constant reminder of the chaos that had settled in. Ella was already gone. I didn't know where, and I didn't ask. She had texted me earlier, saying she needed some time, that she would be back later. I didn't know if I was supposed to wait for her, or if I was supposed to start making decisions about what came next. I couldn't focus. I went through the motions of getting dressed, eating breakfast, but it all felt empty, like I was living in someone else's life. I wanted to talk to her. I wanted answers. But when I thought about it, I wasn't sure if I even wanted to hear the truth anymore. The lies had already broken something inside me. Could I even trust her again? I grabbed my coat and walked out, needing to clear my head. The streets were quiet as I walked, lost in thought. My phone buzzed, and I pulled it out, half expecting it to be Ella. But instead, it was a message from an unknown number. I know you saw us. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for things to go this far. My stomach dropped as I read the message. It was from him, the man she had been seeing behind my back. I stood still on the sidewalk, the cold air biting at my skin, and read it again, trying to process what was happening. Why was he reaching out to me? What did he want? I never wanted to hurt you. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. I can explain everything, but you need to know the truth. I wanted to throw my phone away. I wanted to forget about him, forget about everything, but I couldn't. The words were burning into my mind. What truth was he talking about? What more could there possibly be? I typed a quick reply, my fingers trembling as I hit send. Why are you texting me? What do you want from me? The response came almost instantly. Meet me. I'll explain everything. Please. You deserve to know. I stood there for a moment, weighing my options. Part of me wanted to delete the message, pretend I never saw it, and walk away. But another part of me, the part that was still clinging to the wreckage of my marriage, wanted to hear him out. Maybe he knew something I didn't. Maybe he could shed some light on the situation that would make it all make sense. But would it? I stared at the message, my heart pounding in my chest. What would I be walking into? Was this some kind of game? Or was it the truth? I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I was ready to face him, or if I was even ready to hear the full story. But I had to know. I had to understand what had happened between Ella and him, even if it meant hearing things I wasn't prepared for. After what felt like an eternity, I typed out my reply. Where? The message was clear. Meet me. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't know what I was walking into, but I couldn't ignore it. Every part of me screamed to run in the opposite direction, to protect myself from whatever twisted reality I had been dragged into. But I couldn't. Not now. Not after everything. I drove to the location he had given me, a quiet, dimly lit bar on the edge of town. The kind of place where people went to drown their secrets, to escape their lives for a little while. I parked my car in the back lot, my heart racing with every step I took toward the entrance. I didn't know if I was making a huge mistake or if this was the only way to get to the truth. Either way, I had to go through with it. Inside, the bar was nearly empty, save for a few patrons nursing drinks in the corner. The air was thick with the scent of stale beer and cigarette smoke. I scanned the room, my eyes landing on him almost immediately. He was sitting at the far end of the bar, his back to me, a glass of whiskey in hand. He looked like the kind of guy who knew exactly what he wanted, and I hated him for it. I walked over slowly, trying to steady my nerves. He turned as I approached, his eyes dark and calculating, as if he had been waiting for this moment for a long time. "You came," he said simply, his voice low. It wasn't a greeting, just a statement. I didn't respond immediately. I just sat down beside him, my fists clenched, trying to figure out how to start this conversation without losing control. The last thing I wanted was to give him the satisfaction of seeing me unravel. "I didn't ask for this," I finally said, my voice hoarse. "I didn't ask for any of this. Why are you texting me? Why do you think I want to hear whatever you have to say?" He took a long sip of his drink, his eyes never leaving mine. "Because you deserve to know the truth. You deserve to understand what's been going on. I don't expect you to forgive me, but you need to hear it from me." I felt my stomach churn. This wasn't how I had imagined this moment. I thought I'd come here for answers, but all I was getting was more confusion. "You've been seeing Ella," I said, forcing the words out. "Behind my back. I saw the way you looked at her. The way she looked at you." He sighed, setting his glass down with a soft clink. "Yeah, I get it. It looks bad, doesn't it? But I didn't plan for any of this to happen." "You're telling me this was all an accident?" I scoffed, shaking my head. "You think I'm that stupid? You think I'm going to believe that?" "I'm not saying it was an accident," he replied, his tone shifting. "But I never meant for things to get so complicated. At first, it was just a little flirting. Just innocent, you know? But then things started to change. Ella, He trailed off, rubbing his forehead like the weight of his words was starting to sink in. "She what?" I pressed, leaning in. "Tell me, damn it. What happened between you two?" He met my gaze, his eyes dark and tired. "Ella was looking for something. I don't know what it was, but she wasn't getting it from you. She came to me, just talking. And, hell, I don't know when it turned into something more. I should have stopped it, but I didn't. I couldn't. She was so vulnerable, and I got caught up in it. I wanted to say something. I wanted to scream at him, tell him to leave my wife alone, to get the hell out of my life. But I couldn't. I was frozen. His words were cutting through me like a knife, and every part of me wanted to turn and walk away, but I couldn't stop myself from asking the next question. "How long?" I whispered, though I didn't want to hear the answer. He paused, looking down at his drink before answering. "A few months. Maybe longer. I'm sorry, man. I really am. But you need to know, it wasn't just some fling. It meant something to her. She came to me when she felt alone, and I didn't stop her." The weight of his words hit me all at once, crushing me. It wasn't just physical. It wasn't just a mistake. She had felt something for him. Something more than what she had for me. I had never seen this side of Ella, and now I was starting to see just how far she had gone. "I'm sorry," he said again, his voice barely above a whisper. "I never meant to hurt you, but I don't want you to think this is just on me. Ella was a part of this too. She chose this." I sat there in silence, the weight of his words sinking deeper with every second. The truth was undeniable now. She wasn't just looking for something physical. She was looking for something I couldn't give her. And now I had to decide. Did I walk away? Or did I fight for something that was already slipping through my fingers? I sat there in that dimly lit bar, the weight of his words hanging heavy in the air. Everything felt like it was crumbling, but I knew one thing for certain. I couldn't stay in this misery. I couldn't stay trapped in a lie. I needed to find my strength again. "I'm done," I finally said, my voice steady for the first time in days. "I'm done with this, with you, with everything. I've given everything I had, and I'm not going to let you or her drag me down anymore." He looked at me, eyes wide with surprise. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to take control of my life," I said, standing up from the bar. "And you?" I turned to face him one last time, the anger now burning bright in my chest. "You can take your apology and shove it. You've ruined enough already." I walked out of the bar without looking back. The cool night air hit me like a wave, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I could breathe. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but I knew I couldn't let Ella have any more power over me. When I got home, Ella was sitting on the couch, the same distant look in her eyes. She hadn't changed. She was waiting for me, probably expecting an apology, maybe even hoping I would beg her to come back. But that wasn't going to happen. "Where were you?" she asked softly, not meeting my eyes. "I met with him," I said, my voice calm but firm. "I know everything, Ella, and I'm done." She blinked, as if she didn't understand. "Done? What do you mean?" "I mean, I'm leaving you," I said, my words cutting through the air like a blade. I'm done with this charade. You've lied, you've cheated, and I'm done pretending like everything is okay. It's over. Ella's face fell. The mask she had been wearing cracked, and I saw the panic in her eyes. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. For once, she was speechless. I'm leaving, I repeated. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm sure as hell not staying here with you. As I grabbed my bag and turned toward the door, I heard her call out to me. Please, don't go. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Please, let's fix this. But I didn't stop. I couldn't. I left the house that night, and though the pain didn't go away immediately, something inside me shifted. I was free. Free from the lies, free from the guilt, free from the woman who had betrayed me. I didn't know what was ahead, but I knew I was going to be okay. A few months later, I was living in a small apartment, slowly rebuilding my life. It wasn't easy, but every day was a step forward. I started going to the gym, taking better care of myself, and rediscovering the things I loved. I was starting to find happiness again, something I hadn't realized I had lost until I found it again. Then, one day, I got a call from a mutual friend. Ella had tried to contact them, begging for forgiveness, saying she missed me. But what struck me wasn't just her words. It was the fact that she had been going through therapy, trying to fix herself. It was too little, too late. Her journey wasn't mine to be a part of anymore. As I hung up the phone, I realized that Ella's consequences were coming. Her life had spiraled out of control, and karma had begun to work its magic. She had been caught up in her own lies, and now she had to face them alone. It wasn't my burden to carry anymore. I was finally at peace. Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. I read them all.